Pottery peeps. So I'm going to show you how I made this bunny gnome. The only difference between these two is really the hat. And this is just a coil to show the hat, you know, and then I put the underglaze transfer on it. So I'm going to show you the one that's more difficult and we're going to make the leaf hat. And to do that, I have rolled out a slab, but I don't think it's enough. I'm going to go ahead and lower you down. I'm going to go ahead, I've already rolled this out to 3/8, but I'm going to need more clay, and I don't want the hat to be too heavy. So I'm just going to, rather than change the settings on my slab roller, I'm just going to do this. And is that an air bubble? Where is the needle tool? I'm not sure if that was an air bubble or not. All right, that's a good place to start, I think. So for the leaf for his hat, I used something like this. It's just off a silk plant. So that's what I'm going to use here. And I'm going to roll them into the clay and cut out 3 of them. I am still working with the speckled bee mix. Just pick that up. Actually, it didn't show all that well. So let's go ahead and I gotta find my glasses. Let's see. So I'm just gonna eyeball it around this leaf and just kind of give it some motion. I mean, it's a leaf. So there's one. Then we'll do the other one. The squeaky roller. You could do so many different things with these. Give them flower hats. Leaf hats. No hat. You could just, who knows? So you're just limited by imagination. Right, there's my, well, let's see if we can make one work with what I got left. I'm just going to leave it on here. Just wiggling my knife to give it some movement. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, while I'm here, since I'm rolling up this clay, let's go ahead and roll a nose. The nose is just a ball. Actually, I think I'm gonna need fresh clay. It's weird today, it's super hot, and now we got a storm rolling in. All right, I'm gonna wait on the nose. Let's go ahead and play with his hat. So I've got 3 leaves for the hat, but I also want to thin out the edge of these leaves so they look more like leaves and not just cut like this. So I'm just going to thin them on the edge. And then clean up that edge a little bit. This is kind of sculpting this hat, okay? So have fun with it. There's no right or wrong. So just have fun with the making of it. And the leaf doesn't have to be perfect either, because Mother Nature does not make perfect leaves. I think when they look too perfect, that's when they look fake or plastic. All right, so I've just, like beveled the leaf edges. This is one of my biggest ones. So let's see what we can do now. Ooh, this guy's drying out super fast. I just unwrapped him too. It's just getting wet. All right. So on the back of the hat, it does have a little flip, and I like the little flip. So I'm just gonna go ahead and actually, I might have to work super fast, you guys, because it's dry. This clay is drying out really, really fast. See, how did I do that? I'm gonna just look at the hat that I previously made. Where's, okay. All right. I'm gonna score one side and then score the other. And then press them together here. But see, I've got to press them and then also have it come up on my gnome. This guy's going to have a big hat for the size he is. All right. And then let's do the same thing to that side. I'm just scoring one side. Score the inside of this one. And stick these together. Right. I took my scoring marks down too far, didn't I? Okay. I'm a little flustered today. It's actually been one of those weekends, Not really a fun one. Or should I say it's been one of those weeks? All right. So now I need to imagine, see, I'm coming up quite far here, and I want to overlap. Okay. You're basically making an ice cream cone out of leaves. That's what you're doing. So then I'm going to score this. And then, okay. So I'm just going to just tack that in, make sure that it's, now what I want to do to make this look more leaf-like is I want to, curl up some of the edges. I don't want them straight like that, because leaves aren't straight like that. I actually want to do it on all of them. I don't even mind if they tear. I actually like that. Okay, so something along those lines, where it's just got some more something else going on. And then I'm going to curl up the ends. Boy, this is drying super fast, you guys. I'm going to actually I need to make space here for the nose. And before I get too far, because my clay's drying out so much, I'm actually going to dip my hat into some water because I want to actually pull this up and twist it. I might not get as much of a twist as I did on that other one. Let's see. And then pull that out again. I flattened up some of my curls. And take the tool under there and kind of curl it up, you know? Get rid of my scoring marks that are showing up. All right, so before we go any further, let's give him his nose so that we can see how he looks and if everything is going to work together okay. He's going to be very rustic because the clay's already tearing and drying out, and so I'm trying to work really fast here and still be able to show you guys that I'm against the clock. Hand building in the summertime in Utah. Oh, that's cute. It's amazing how they just come alive when you give them the nose. I'm gonna kind of, there's just a lot of fiddling just to make sure to get everything to fit the way you want it to. And I'm gonna score. I'm actually gonna take this tool, just kind of score where it's hitting my egg. Brush. Yeah, I'm flustered with all how fast this is all drying out. I waited until it was cooler because it was so blazing hot. And okay, I like that. All right, I got that wet so I could see where it's touching. And then I will just score that, and then I'm just going to dip that in water. Let's see, I kind of want it to, there we go, that looks a little bit better. Sure, might actually, can't get that. You know what, we're going to have to cut this down. Otherwise, there's no place for a tail. Oh! All right, so let me pinch it to thin it out. Well, I still might not have room for a tail. Let's see. You know what? Let's give him a tail right now. A little cotton ball tail. So that's just another ball. I really did not see this video going this way. But it's amazing what you have to work with sometimes. Okay, so score that. And then with the tail, I am gonna just twist it on. And I kind of like that it's not, I like putting my finger impressions in the tail, just so it's more, you know, looks like it's more fluffy rather than like a stone. So, but I nailed it right there. So let's see if we can't clean that up. These guys are so stinking cute. But you're giving me fits. This one's giving me fits today. All right. I do like their noses smooth though. So let's do that. And then I'm going to stuff that up in there and wiggle it back and forth too. This, I'm smoothing out my finger impressions. But I kind of want that leaf to come up over his nose. Actually, I don't like that. Come on. Let's try this again. One thing about doing something like this, I hate to rush, you know. Weather does play a huge part in what we do. Here it is. Just okay. I might have to fiddle with this a little bit more off camera, just in the cleanup, just because he's drying so fast. I'm gonna get squirted again. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, even though he's not quite where I want him, especially his nose. You got a weird shaped nose, buddy. Okay. Now I'm going to, I'm not even checking to see if I'm in the camera. I might have to redo this whole thing. Ah! It's the wind, I believe, that's come up with this storm. And so that's what's drying everything out. Not just the heat, but the wind. And it's just too hot in the studio to have it all shut up. Okay, so when I'm doing a beard to me, it just looks like a baby's bib, you know? So I just, let's see if I can, so I just start on one end and I kind of do this and I kind of do that. And then I kind of come in, make a nose and that. There's nothing special about it. And then I'll put it up. It's always too big. So then I'm going to cut this down. Something, let's see. Now we're in the ballpark. And then I will morph it to go up and around his nose. I need a bigger bib. It needs to be fatter. All right, let's try this again. So we need a fatter bib. So I'm gonna go like that. And then around his nose. And then you just keep cutting it down until it's to the size that you want. That looks about right. So I'm gonna score the bib, or the beard. Well, you know, beards act like bibs on some men. And then score our little bunny gnome. Let's see. To get up in here, I will use the needle tool around his nose. And okay, so when putting on the beard, I'll bring it all the way up to the nose. I'm going to scrunch all that up in there. I don't want any spaces around his nose. And then I will form the beard, jeez. Okay, push it around his nose. You can put a mustache on here too if you want. And then I do the same thing too, where I will push down with my fingertips just to give it some movement. So it's just not one note. It's a symphony. It's a beard symphony. So, and then come in with my brush. Sometimes I will even pull that down, you know, just kind of almost like what I did with the leaf. Just kind of give it some more movement on, because beards aren't perfect. So, and I have Cass outside if you're hearing the leash. That's Castiel, or husky. Okay, so once I got it on there the way I like, then I come in with this tool, and I usually start in the middle, and I come down with kind of a swoop, and then I will follow that around, and I'm not too careful. To me, it's just getting the lines in there, and if I think about them too much, then I mess up. You know what I mean? And we are just putting the hair of his beard in there, and I'll clean up around his nose again. And I usually let the beard stiffen up before I come in and clean the beard. But now we have a beard. Now he's starting to look really, really cute. And I messed up his, I really messed that up. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. Ugh. All right. These are the days I wish I'd gotten up at 5 in the morning and came out here, because it's just going to be miserable until we get the AC set back up in here, because it hit over 90 again today. Okay, I'll quit messing with that, and then we will, I'll address it later. Okay, so what's next is going to be the ears. And the ears are basically a coil. Okay, so let's do, you want them to kind of be the same. So I roll out a coil and then I cut the coil in half, and then it's a matter of me sculpting these ears. And I might have gotten them a little bit too thin. So start out with making the tops of them a little fatter. And then I'll come in with my finger and I really press it down. Then I'll turn it around and do the same thing. Really press them down. They're just, you know, they're fairly simple. Actually, I've got this little tool also, which kind of helps define the beginning of that ear at the top. Keeps it round anyway. All right, so let's see if I can do that on the other one. Kind of just, oh, I might have to go let my dog in. Doesn't seem like anybody's inside the house paying attention. All right, so I'm taking my finger and I'm just pulling it down. And doing the other direction until you're happy with the shape of your ear. And all the tools that I'm using for this, or, you know, like these and the flowers and stuff, the leaves, I mean, I've had those leaves forever. They're just off of a silk plant type of thing that I bought. And I bet you my ears are too big. They are. All right, he's gonna get some plastic surgery. We're gonna cut about that much off. And then I'm gonna take them, kind of do that with them. And then just smooth them out. Let's see, oh yeah, those work. Okay, so I just kind of pinch them and then smooth out my ear just a little bit. Whoops. Okay, so now I need to figure out where they're going. I like that one. So then I'm just going to score them, score the backs, and score it right on my hat. And what I do is I'll set it on there, and I'm going to push it right in. Okay, and I'm going to smooth that in. Because I'm going to put a flower in front of it. There. And it's supported a little bit. My ears are pretty soft compared to the rest of the clay. Make sure, twist them however you want them. You know, you want them straight, if you want them just floppy. Cute! Hold on just a second. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do his feet. So with his feet, I am also going to do a coil. This is wedging small pieces of clay, taking it kind of like you're playing with putty to get air bubbles out of small bits of clay. All right. Kind of want them fat. Okay. And again, I want your feet the same size, somewhat. And now it's just a matter of sculpting your feet. So you know the bottom needs to be a little rounded. And then we're going to push the top way out because they got big feet. And I am no expert on making rabbits or sculpting animals. This is about the only way I do them is stuff like this. I have never sculpted, well, you know, like birds and stuff like that, and fish and easy stuff. So this took me a little bit to get started on looking at a lot of rabbit's feet and how I was going to make those mine. So just smoothing them. So I've got something, you know, that comes in for the heel. And then what I found was really helpful was this wooden dowel. So there's 3 paws. So I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3 paw pads, I guess. And then there's one at the back, and it kind of I slide it kind of forward. So and then I just keep playing with it until I'm happy with it. And I'm not too happy with it up here. I don't think I got it wide enough, so let's, but then again, once it's actually on the bunny, it might be too big. Yep, they're too big. So I'm gonna cut his heel off. And we'll make him fatten that up a little bit. We'll make his feet a little smaller. Let's see, where's my, I'm just going to press this in again just to give me some more impression there. Okay, let's see, how we doing? Well, let's see, let's do the other one. And I gotta remember that I cut off some, so they're not gonna be equal now. So bring that down. Yeah, look at bunny feet. Because you'll probably get really inspired and make better bunny feet than what I'm showing you, since I am trying to rush so I can actually get them on. Otherwise we'll have a footless bunny. Okay, so I want to put that little ankle or its foot thing. I wonder if it'll be better if it's a little rounded at the top. So put down that at the bottom. And then bring up his foot pad. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna kind of give him a left and a right foot. A little bit more pronounced. And I actually, yeah, I put him over the beard even. So I'm just going to kind of lay him like that. I wonder if I can get that up a little, up a little bit. I like the second one better than the first one. So let's, no, I like the first one better than the second one. I think I didn't take off enough clay. So let's do that. I might have to do this again. We'll see. Either that or I'll put up another video with one of the other bunnies. Just so it's not so crazy. All right, yeah, so I'm just gonna carefully, yeah, that is already drying way too much. Heat's one thing, but when you get air movement, that's what really does you in. Okay, so where is he gonna connect? I'm not gonna score this whole foot. I'm just gonna score where it connects. Actually, probably get that to, I am gonna score the whole thing. And then I'm gonna carefully lift him up. Score him. And I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to shove his foot up and under his hat. This is one flexible bunny where he can get his foot right up there and then really push this guy on, you know. You can even go back to the dowel with the, and push that on. Make sure you've got a really good connection. All right, let's do the other one. Oh, we might actually survive this. I mean, I still got to make a ladybug and a couple flowers, but my goodness. Should we call this guy Leif Erikson? Those of you that are older will get that. Those of you younger, sadly, will not. All right. And since he's got a leaf hat, all right. Okay. Other than messing with the cleanup, I think we're there. But we're going to quickly give him a ladybug. I really like the addition of the ladybug. And the ladybug is just an oval pea, you know, or a legume. You put it down on the table and get one side flat. Getting all the, this bag, or this clay just came out of the bag too, and it's cracking on me like crazy. So I'm just smoothing it all out. And then to make the ladybug, I think I've shown this before, but they're super simple. I go around with the needle tool and I just go around to define his face. And then I go down the middle of the back, about there. And then I give him a little butt, like that. And then I will paint all his details in after. So let's go ahead and get him on the hat, or on the leaf hat. Let's see, about right there. Nice thing about doing leaves and stuff like that, because my clay is drying out so fast, at least with the leaves and stuff, if they tear, crack, it just adds more to the design. You know, it's just more. And so that's one good thing. All right, let's do some quick flowers. Really quick flowers. And I will, like I said, I will put in the description these things. Well, I think they come in a pack of 2. And I will do also the flowers that I'm going to do. I really love these flowers. They're just fondant stuff. And shopping, you know, the fondant section, it's amazing for cake decorating how many things you can use in your practice, in your pottery studio. that is also being used in cake decorating. Okay, so this is the one that I'm going to use, and it comes with, hold on, where is it? Oh, there it is. So I think these were, I don't know if they were a set of 3 when I bought them or just this. It's been a while. So, and you might need cornstarch. So let's do that. I really hate working this fast, as you can probably tell. Okay, so I'm just going to cornstarch the flour, and then we're going to cut 2 out because I'm going to do 2. And then put him in here, and then carefully, whoops, hold on, I didn't get it in the center. And then you just push, I just push and I rock. And then you get this gorgeous little flower. And it's gonna go there. So let's do the other one. You have to line up the petals. And then, yeah, I just love this tool. See? Beautiful, right? And while I'm doing it, where are my, oh, I put things in baggies so I would quit losing them, you know? Let's get a couple of leaves. I think I want this size. And how many leaves did I put? I only put 1 leaf on. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the leaf. I'm going to thin out the edges by just pinching them. So they just look more natural. And then I'm going to come in, you're going to be able to see what I'm going to do here, but I'm just going to add in the veins, you know, with my tool. Just really easy, really quick. And if I can find, I've had these leaf cutters for a long time, but I'll see if I can't find them too and link them because I use them a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and get our flowers on. And I don't really push the whole flower down. I just do the center of it. And I just need to be really careful until after they're glazed. So just kind of squeeze that in there because I want those petals to be up, you know. And then let's go ahead and do the leaf on this. And I'm just going to stuff it up underneath the flower. Just so there's something like that. You gotta be really careful with these flowers. You knock them, they're gonna come off. So don't knock them. Ask me how I know all this. So yeah, when he's dry, he is super, super fragile. So we'll handle with care until after he's fired. He's got a lot of detail on him, and so he's just a high maintenance gnome until he's made it through the fire. And then I like to actually swivel that leaf over at the end. It's kind of, I like everything to kind of show movement. To me, that's what's interesting. It just, geez, that leaf is already leather hard. like chocolate hard. Okay, now I can fiddle till my heart's content because he's done. Oh, all right, hold on just a second. Whew. I'm a sweaty mess, you guys. Okay. Whew. I'm a sweaty mess. That was like a marathon. But isn't he adorable? Look at him. Look at those big feet and that big nose. And of course, there's some cleanup that still needs to happen. It's amazing what you see when you put him in the mirror. All right. Get that one right there. All right. Anyway, I hope you try your own little bunny gnome. I think he's adorable. Just so cute. And the other gnome, seriously, is exactly the same, except for it only has one little flower at the crown, and I just added a coil here and pressed that design into it. This one's easier, guys. Anyway, that's it for me. We'll see you next week. I might, fingers crossed, if the weather holds, I might try and make, if you're interested, I can try and make the girl gnome with her hair. A lot of people asked, how did you do the hair? So if you're interested, put it in the comments, and maybe that'll be next. Okay? All right, go get muddy.